Salutations, salute, guten Morgen, good morning, buenos dias, buenos tardes, no? Oh, sorry, afternoon, something. Good day to you, grand rising, all that good stuff.
What?
What? Kilo day, how you day?
What you say?
How far? Nakwana. Bonjour, bonsoir,
Buongiorno, yeah.
buongiorno, all that good stuff.
Привет, yeah, come on. Till the day. Holla.
Ni hao ma, ni shang
Nice.
ma. Konnichiwa, kumbawa, ohayo
yeah.
gozaimasu, genki desu ka, genki yo. Yeah, so anyway, today, Just Cruising, episode 20. Why are you laughing?
International team.
Mr. International, you know how it is. Today, episode 28, season 2, episode 3, Just Cruising. Kevla Kes, Dr. Love. Today's conversation is going to be about metaphor. Metaphor. In my nerd words, I'll go metaphor spirit review. Okay.
Wow.
Drop it like it's hot. Okay. So, the conversation is about metaphor. What do you want to metaphor about? What would you like to metaphor about? What metaphor about would you?
First, I would like to just speak about what metaphor is. So, metaphor is when you say one thing to mean another. I believe the root of it means bridge. And so, for example, if I was to say, Kez is a star, right? He's not literally a star in the sky, obviously, but I'm using that term to maybe describe certain attributes, right? Maybe he's very shiny, maybe he's very distant, I don't know. But yeah, the idea is you're using, most people know what that is anyway, but I think it's cool to have some clarity around what metaphor actually means.
Hold up. Question, sorry.
Go ahead.
When you say metaphor, and you say, for example, Kes is a star.
Yeah.
That's you putting something into words, right? So a metaphor is basically you creating something from words. Or is that not the same thing as a spelling or a spell, which is you create realities from vocalization? So when you use that kind of metaphor, it's more of like, okay, I set you towards a certain path. Does that help? And am I not making sense? Am I being Confucius?
Not at all. I think there's truth to what you're saying, and I think there's an element of that in pretty much everything that we say. I think we're always casting spells, so to speak, and I think everything's an affirmation, essentially, which is why I think it's really important to be aware of what spells you're casting, what words you're saying.
Right. So before the camera came on, you were giving an example of a co-worker who who's always going through drama in one way, shape, and or form, and the drama from an outside point of view, it's very minuscule, but from their point of view, it's a headache. It's more of a like, it's just chaotic, and all this chaos is being created by this individual based on their metaphor of how they handle the situation.
That's what I realized. This was the point when I started to notice this pattern.
Sorry, could you
just explain a little bit?
From the start, because I didn't give it a proper justice.
That's fine. So yeah, when we're talking about what we're gonna discuss, I was saying I used to work with someone, and I started to notice after a while that they always seem to have some kind of drama going on. So, for example, in the work environment, there'd be a manager who they thought was unfair to them, or bullying them, or there'd be some sort of issues with that, and then they'd be talking about I was talking to my mum, and then she's too much. We had an argument, she'd fall out, not speak to her mum for a few months. Similar thing with certain friends. I've never really had that with friends where I'm like, okay, we've had an argument, I'm not talking to you for a few months, and that's like a recurring pattern. But for her, it was the norm.
Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat, and this was normal to her. And I remember thinking, this seems really dysfunctional. And then I noticed that her language, her vocabulary would betray the same pattern as well. Like you'd notice she'd use the word battle all the time, or fight, and so she it's almost like that concept of, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail, right?
Yes.
So because she had that mindset, she would always be in debates, she'd always be in arguments, she'd always be fighting, and she'd, I think, unconsciously attract a lot of these situations. She was feminist as well, and was very much like, you know, had a really a lot of anger around those kind of issues as well. So observing it, it was like, wow, like your life is just a constant war. You know what I mean? And I think that was her metaphor. And she used to say things like that, like, I'm a fighter. And so part of the reason I want to talk about this is because your metaphors, whether it's your personal metaphor for how you see yourself or how you see life, or it could be a specific thing like your metaphor for relationships or your metaphor for work or exercise, if you're not conscious of it, you could have a metaphor that's not serving you. And I think bringing some awareness to it is really useful.
That's deep. That's dope. What I think is, like, for the metaphor again, it goes back to words, not what you say. People don't realize this, but you create your universe. You create your universe through your words. You create your universe through affirmations. You create your universe through your speak, whether it's in jest, whether you understand, whether you're joking, whether you pray on it, whether you just speak it unconsciously. I tell a lot of people, be careful how you speak, especially if you are gifted, especially if you are a stronger person, a strong heart or a strong mind, or you're very, very emotionally driven. Be careful how you speak, especially when you are emotionally driven, because that gives an energy to your words. It gives a charge to your words. Whether it's good, bad, happy, sad, you've put a force. Get it? Metaphors. Oh, dad jokes. Right.
Metaphors be with you.
You've put a force to it. There's an energy to what you said. So you've given it life. So when you downplay situations, when you downcast yourself, when you say something good to yourself, bad to yourself, good of yourself, bad of yourself, of others, whatever it is, when you do that, you've kind of set things in motion. You don't see the eventuality now. You might see it in 6 months' time, in 7 months' time, in 7 weeks' time, 7 years' time, but you're going to see it eventually. So when every time a person goes, oh, woe unto me, blah, 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 they are consistently praying for woe unto them, to the universe. When a person is constantly saying, I am blessed and highly favored, they are consistently, there you go, they are consistently being blessed and highly favored, which is, you might get trials and tribulations, but those trials and tribulations, they basically set you up for more blessings and more favors. Game. That's the human cheat code. That's the universal cheat code. You speak upon it and it shall come. It may take its time, but it will come. So when it comes to metaphors and just words in general, me personally, I'm very conscious of what I say to myself, what I say about myself, what I say to the ones I love, others around me, what I say to them, what I say about them, even in their absence, what I say about them is very, very, very positive. If it's not positive, I'm not going to say anything, because I know my power. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
I know my power, I know my abilities, I know what to and what not to. So in your absence, I would never say a bad word about you or anybody. We're not doing that today. There's that also thing that it always comes back to you one way or the other. So we don't play that. So for me as a person, I emphasize to not keep around me those who have no control of their tongue. Because if you are in my vicinity, whether it's my close circle or wide circle, I would have said to you on more than one occasion, watch your mouth. Learn how to speak around me. It's not a bad thing. It's just you don't talk to me like that. I don't talk to you like that. Does that make sense? It's simple as that. I set boundaries with everyone around me. We set boundaries. So we don't talk this way to ourselves. So if you were around me all the time and you are constantly saying negative things about yourself to yourself, I would always check you.
I do the same thing.
Like from the jump, if you say that to me once, if I'm around you and you basically downplay yourself or abilities, I will check you right there, right then. Whatever we're doing, we're stopping it. Like no, we will stop everything.
How do you? I'm curious to know how you do that because I do the same thing. How do you express that?
It's simple. I don't like people, so I don't hang around in big crowds.
But let's say that, for example, you catch someone doing that. It's early stages of you hanging with them. You catch them doing that. What do you say?
Day one, I'm like, stop that. Standard. On the spot, I'm like, stop that. Be mindful of what you say to yourself. That's how I do it. Right there, right then.
It's good.
You don't say that. We don't say that. I don't say that. You don't say that. You don't talk to me that way. You don't talk to you that way. You need to learn to bless yourself, not curse yourself. It's kind of what it is. You need to learn to hype yourself up, not berate yourself. When you start to hype yourself up, you don't need a hype man. When you are constantly blessing yourself, you don't need to look to anyone else to bless you, because you've got this. This was it. Every person around me, day one. We don't play that. Day one. I'm not here to serve you. I'm not here to impress you. So I don't see myself with the need to hold back. There's you know when someone goes, oh yeah, I say what I want to say. There's that, but there's also a certain respect level. So I will not, for the sake of I speak my mind, I will not disrespect you. Because people do that to go, oh no, I'll speak my mind by blah 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 blah, just talking smack. But no, we don't play that. We don't play that at all. Not at all. Never have, never will. So yeah.
So let me ask you this then, because I'm fascinated by this concept of.
Fascinated.
I'm fascinated.
Fascination.
With this concept of how we put things into words or metaphors.
Yes.
How would you say, if you would say we were to take business, what metaphor would you put around that?
When you say business, could you please elaborate?
I guess that whole theme or subject of you being in that world and creating what you're trying to create within it, would you describe it as for example, a challenge, a game, a fight? Like if you had to put a sort of a metaphor to it.
To business?
Yeah.
Yeesh. I'll say hard. I would say business is hard. Running a business is hard. Owning a business is hard. Not running a business is hard. You choose your hard. That's the thing I like to say, just generally, because
Interesting.
Because when things go hard, when a person says to themselves that, oh, this should be easy, this is gonna be easy,
then they're not going to be prepared for the hard, right?
They're not gonna be prepared for the hard, because the moment it goes hard, everyone goes, oh no, it's not what I expected.
Yeah.
These are words that human beings use every day. Oh no, it's not what I expected, therefore I quit. People say this all the time. But when you sit down and go, you know what? Life is hard. Death is hard. Choose your hard.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Regardless of how nice and calm and lovely we all are as people, how good we are at life, this life itself is an unfair board. This life itself is very unfair. As nice as we are, with the metaphors as well, this life we live in is very uneven and unfair. This is how it is. This is the nature of the multiverse, of the universe. It's not fair. So things will be hard, but the hardships are there to build your character. If you had no hardships, you would not have a character build up. I like to use, dude. There's a lot of analogies to use. There's the games, there's the movies, there's the books. Whatever it is what it is. So your life story is about turmoil. The best movies, the best romance movies, the best action movies, the best stories, the best historic tales have been about triumph. They've been about rising against situations. You name it, it's basically about one person fighting against the odds. That's what it is. The odds are basically like, oh look, life is hard. Okay, let's move on. Let's run through that. So it's kind of a metaphor I use all the time. So yeah,
Very
it's hard.
interesting.
Choose your hard.
But the thing I like is your because as you said, a lot of times people aren't expecting the hardships, and then when they come, they're like, oh, this is not what I expected. This is too hard. Whereas you're saying, no, it is hard, but I accept that. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not running away from it.
No.
I'm embracing it.
Yes.
I'm expecting it.
We embrace it by understanding Taoism. The Tao mentality, which is the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the good and the bad. Everything is balanced. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot have one. Apologies. One cannot exist without the other. There has to be an existence of one for your brain to acknowledge the other. That's how the human brain is designed. The brain, there are many colors and patterns we don't see because we don't see the opposite of it. Something has to exist for us to recognize the opposite. So it's around us, but our brains cannot actually catch it until we visually see the opposite of it, and then that becomes to exist. Doesn't make sense now, but tomorrow it makes sense to you. It's that simple. Everything we're going through now, we understand because we know there is an existence of the opposite of it. There can't be a heaven without a hell. There can't be a hell without a heaven.
Okay.
It's the design of the human brain. A good has to exist for a bad to be there. There has to be a bad to exist for a good to exist.
Sure.
If everything is all good, you can't tell the difference. You cease to exist. If everything is all bad, you cannot tell the difference. You will cease to exist. It is the nature of the universe, it's the law of the universe. There needs to be a devil for a God to exist. There needs to be a God for a devil to exist. One has to be there for the other to exist.
Okay, go on.
That's it.
I'm just wondering how that connects to what you were saying before. Are you suggesting then that by the focus on the hard, it then
there will be a hard. If there's no hard, you don't appreciate the easy or the good.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that's what you were getting at?
You know,
That's clever.
You always prepare for the worst and the best. Because as good as things are gonna go, there's always a monkey wrench in the works.
I love that because obviously the easy we can deal with, right? The easy isn't a challenge. So if you're prepared for the difficult, the hard,
there's always something like
then you're kind of good, right? Because you already know how to deal with the most challenging
because
parts.
you take the good and the bad. You balance the good and the bad. It's just that.
That's a really interesting thing.
It's that. It's interesting because we would like to believe that we need to be on this side at all times. Yes, ordinarily I would like that. Everyone would like that.
What do you mean this side?
Like, oh, it has to always be easy. It has to always be easy. But then hardships come. What you don't realize, what you realize actually, is that the people who have gone through hardships yesterday, today, they are the wisest, they are the toughest, they're the strongest, they're the most calm, they're the most understanding, they are the most loving, they're the most gentle. They've been through a lot. I'll give you an example. I do a lot of public speaking, and one of the companies I work with, the lady who runs it, I've known her for a very long time. She's a high-level black belt in one of the karate, runs stuff, does a lot of work everywhere, and everyone sees her and has this. If you don't know her, you'd have this automatic assumption that, oh, violence is the way or aggression is the way because you do this. So you see this person as, okay, martial arts, lifetime of martial arts, right? Of violence and everything. But she said to me this past weekend, as much as this is what I do, at home, I don't like aggression. With all the stuff she's one of the nicest, calmest, gentle, most loving people.
I found the same thing.
And her history, she's been through a lot. She can sit down with you and tell you about her history, and this is all day. You'll be like, whoa. But behind closed doors, calm, gentle. If you're that person that wants to argue for the sake of arguing, those ones like no. And I'm that person as well. This is what I've noticed. As much as I do all these thousands of things, and I've done a lot, that has only calmed me. It's not made me more aggressive. It made me less aggressive. It made me more understanding. So I'm like, yeah, I got this. I got you. I understand what you're saying, where you're coming from. We're cool. That's the thing. But it's the ones who haven't been through a lot that are restless, jumpy, all over the place, all over the gap, this, that, and the third. They want to do this, that. I get that. It's just, we're fine. It's all about the balance. It's about the balance. It's about the fight. I'm going to add this in. It's a segue, but I'll say, by the way, a lot of people till today look up to Tupac.
Okay.
Just saying, just general. Oh, but Tupac said this. Tupac did this. He wouldn't have done this. Blah blah blah. What age did Tupac die? It's very important.
He was young. I think he was about 26.
25, 26. Right. Young man. Not even got to the brain stage of awareness. That makes sense? So 30, the Jesus age is 32. Yeah. That's the age where for men it goes, things start to click. Here's how and here's why. The Jesus age for men is 32. That's the age where things start to make sense. There's nothing, gargantuous. It's just, oh, this is what my name means. Oh, this is water. Oh, this is a left hand. That's the age where we start to understand things. Before then, we are hyper aggressive, hyper this, hyper that. Everything we see we are hammers at that time. So every problem is a nail. Does that make sense? So for me, I'll give it in the sense of the military, which is a private to a general. At 25, you're like a private / lance corporal or corporal. You're still in that your early, eager, excited stages where you're like, yeah, everything has to be punch, kick, shoot. As a general, you're older, you're calmer, you're more calculated, you're more calculative. You're still you're not fighting like a private does, but you're still fighting in the big boy way. That's the magic. So a lot of people who look up to Tupac look up to young, aggressive male. If Tupac were alive to today, he would not be saying Tupac he was yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'd be calmer, less aggressive, more understanding, everything, because in his younger days he did all that nonsense. He went through all that hardship, and it only made him calmer as an older man. That's it. But we tend to hold on, as human beings, tend to hold on to what this person did at 20 years old and go, oh. And as a 50-year-old, you're still looking up to a 20-year-old. Boom. Infancy. Remain infant. Because of metaphors. Am I making sense to you, sir?
Yeah. I've found, if we're looking at the warrior, the fighter, that's a metaphor in itself. My experience has shown me that the best fighters I've met, the most powerful warriors I've met, have a balance, as you say. What's the other side of the coin is a level of calmness, a level of self-control, which is can almost be intimidating. I mean, I remember, for example, there was one of my teachers taught a few styles of kung fu, trained for decades, tai chi, bagua, xingyi, and stuff like that. And at one point, we were working on this exercise, and we were like touching hands, and so he was sort of clinging to my hands like that, and we were moving. But his touch was so light. It was so light, and yet you could feel the power. You could feel like this person could kill you.
If he wanted to.
If he wanted to. You could feel that if he wanted to kill you, he could. And it was like, yeah, as a martial artist at the time, I remember just thinking, like, that's power. You know, it's not just the expression of power.
No, it's not.
It's not. Most people think of power like they see someone hit the bag hard and they go, "Oh my God, yeah, that's powerful."
No.
That's not power. It's when you know someone has that capacity, but they've got control over it voluntarily. That's way more impressive to me. And people can really feel that. It's like what Jordan Peterson was saying was, you should learn to be a monster, but learn to control it. Like there's a level of it's formidable when you're around someone that has that energy. And I've found that whether it's kung fu practitioners or it's like professional fighters, the best of them just have this kind of almost a softness to them. They're quite gentle because they've learned how to channel that energy, and they have an outlet for it.
Yes.
Right, so they're not walking around angry. They're actually very, very calm.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Those are always the most dangerous ones. Like the ones that say you want to spar someone, the ones that are like, "Oh, do you want to spend it?" and they're just softly spoken. Like those are the ones I'm always like, "Okay, let me watch this." But the loud, like ones, it's like, yeah, okay.
That's true. When I set up in my classes demonstrations, and I use a partner, it's the same thing. I'm not trying to hit them. I just go to this, and then when I see everyone else doing it, there's a bit of, and I go, no. You need to bring that down, that down, relax. But I give 3 dynamics. This is the bag, the pads, and the human. You go hard on the bags, you go fast on the pads, and you go gentle on the human being.
Like that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, because hitting the pads super hard doesn't really make sense.
It gets you nowhere. So for fighters, for fighting generally, especially for people, because remember I keep saying about this consistency-based intensity. For those who want to keep doing what they do on a daily basis, they have to find the way. Whatever you're doing, you have to find the way to make it feel smooth and natural on a daily basis for you to have longevity in whatever you're doing. It's very important. If whatever you're doing, if you're running, if you're sprinting, going to the gym, whatever you're doing, you want to find a way to go at a, for lack of a better word, at a snail's pace on a daily basis, and then introduce your Kaizen into it. You want to do your 1% better every day. You gently do what you're doing on a daily basis, so that you make sure you can do the same thing again tomorrow.
Yes.
That's it. If you burn yourself out on Monday, on Tuesday you're useless. On Wednesday you're less useless, but you are not useful. Thursday you can't. You forgot what you learned on Monday. It's gone away. But if you learn it on Monday, do it again on Tuesday, repeat it on Wednesday, it stays there for a longer time. You now have started to develop a muscle memory in whatever it is you are doing.
Yep.
Not just boxing, whatever it is you're doing. So when I apply that skill set to my martial arts, I go, there's the heavy bag for a reason. The heavy bag is where you want to go heavy on hard. Hit hard all you want to. If you want to extend all that energy out there, expend it there, go. The pads is to practice your speed. Because when your hands are going fast, that's how you see other hands coming your way. Because if you have fast hands, every hand that is not as fast as your hand is coming in slow motion. Then, when it comes to your partnering up, like your sparring, you are using your partner as target practice. Is you want to hit here, but not hit hard, because you would like to spar them again tomorrow. Because tomorrow you get better, they get better. But if we go hard on Monday and hurt each other on Monday, we've not learned anything.
It takes long-term perspective to function like this, and patience. Because it's, when I was younger, I just didn't have that understanding, so I would burn myself out, like you were just saying, all the time. And now I'm doing it the opposite. So, for example, this morning I woke up, meditated quickly, and I went to a trading chart. I'm looking at the trading chart and reading the trends and whatever. Spent a little time on that, and then I did a little bit of work on my book. I worked on some poetry, and just like straight off the bat, like just got in there really early and did a little bit on each. And it's a different approach to how I used to be, where I would just try and do too much too quickly, and I just couldn't sustain it. And then I just get burnt out, and then it's just like, I don't want to look at that book again, or I don't want to do any more training or whatever. Whereas with this approach, it works the other way around, because now I want to go and do some more today. And training was the first thing I really learned that with. If you do a little bit, break it down, you can get a lot more volume in. Do you know what I mean? Same way you were mentioning, you said something about burpees. Was it like 10 on the hour or 5? How were you saying you did it? You did like a certain amount each hour. 10. Same principle. I found when you break stuff down like that, you end up with a much better connection to the thing. It becomes second nature.
There you go.
It becomes part of who you are.
There you
because
go.
You're kind of wiring your nervous system and training your nervous system to do that thing.
To move naturally with it.
Yeah.
I think I like to use the same example like breathing. You breathe all the time because you're breathing smooth and calm. But the same breathing is not all the time. If you start breathing in a panicked phase, like you're gonna burn out. Same oxygen, same breathing, you're going to burn yourself out. So if you're smoothly doing this in this way, gentle, it's beautiful. Take your time. You got this. You've got this. That's what it is. So yeah. But you cannot do this until you start to tell yourself about it. This is crazy, because many things we do, we tell ourselves about it. So when people are training with me, remember I said about hard, right? Training is hard. This is hard. But it's like an incomplete sentence. This is hard, that's hard, choose your hard. Because whatever you do to get good at something, the first time you do it, it's going to seem hard because you are thinking it's hard. If you think it's easy, you won't do it. If you think it's easy, you're going to get bored by it. This is the main problem with intelligent people or people who pick up a skill in a heartbeat. They get bored because it's too easy. Because it's not challenging. It's not a challenge. I've seen those ones. Oh, you do it once, they get it. They do it naturally. And because there was no effort to learning that, there's no prize at the end of the rainbow. So they just, yeah, I've got it already. Show me again, and they do it, and they do it, and they do it, and they do it. You're like, God damn it! They're the ones that never come back.
Yeah, I met a girl like that boxing.
You know, that's talent. They're the ones that just slouch off, and they're the ones who work hard end up beating them.
Yeah,
because they have that determination to keep pushing. This is a reality. When talent does not train, hard work builds talent. So it's hard for someone who has gift to stay on that. But that's the beauty of the hard. You have to understand the whole hard concept. It's going to be hard. If it's too easy, push further. When that's got easier, push further. Keep going. Find that little bit of hard. Embrace that little bit of hard and go more.
How about this though? Because I think this is a really interesting conversation. Because on the one hand, you have the hardships, the challenges of doing something, but then the whole concept of Kaizen is that you make it easy by breaking it down into small enough things so that you're gradually building it. So you're not really growing through struggle. You're growing more through ease.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that fit into your metaphor, so to speak, of everything being hard? Because it sounds like it's a bit of a contrast in that sense.
It's not, because if it was easy, you wouldn't break it down. Right?
You think you're smart?
I know I'm smart. It's different.
That was a clever answer.
That's a reality. If it was an easy concept, you wouldn't break it down. The fact that we've put in 3 or 4 steps is because it's hard.
I can't say anything to that.
You're welcome.
Very good. Credit where credit's due. That was.
I got this.
Really fucking good.
I got this.
No, because that is what it is. It's because our brains find change difficult. And that's why Kaizen's designed in that way. So you come under the radar, you don't trigger the amygdala, you make it look like, oh, this is just, I'm just doing a minute or I'm doing whatever.
What is Kaizen?
Kaizen is a method of change which uses small change. It's a whole system of change, but the approach is one which doesn't trigger our internal resistance, because the steps are very small, very incremental.
Okay, would you say Kaizen is the process of long-term change through small-term actions?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not just actions. It's small thoughts, it's small questions, it's small actions, small rewards, noticing small moments.
There we go. See, we did that. Yeah. Thank you. I had to ask you for the audience.
For the audience.
Not audience, the audience.
That sounds like a naughty word. Audience.
Wow. Wow. I can't believe what you are saying. It's just the H thing. No, it's the H thing.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, in that term, in that way, in that prospect, how would you think one would help others change their life through their metaphorical changes?
excellent question. So I would invite or challenge people to look at their concepts, particularly in areas where perhaps they're having challenges, and look at how they perceive that thing. Because ultimately, in some ways, you could argue nothing is anything. We give it the meanings, we give it our own personal definition. So, for example, one person will say to you, training is hard, training is horrible, I hate training. Like, a lot of people don't like exercise, partly because of experiences they've had. Maybe school didn't give them the greatest experiences, maybe movies, maybe training they've done hasn't been enjoyable, maybe they've done training which doesn't really suit their body or their temperament. You know what I mean? Instagram makes them feel miserable looking at all these influencers. So that's on one end of the scale. You'll have those people that are like, oh, I hate exercise, I'd rather watch TV and eat something delicious. And then you've got other people who love training, right? Who if they don't train, like, if I don't train for more than a day or two, I just start to feel like my body does not feel in balance. I feel agitated, I have a certain amount of nervous energy, I just don't feel like myself. And so for me, I don't see training as a chore or a struggle. It's a treat for me in a lot of ways. So you could argue that training is not neither of those things. It just is. It's all about how you as a person perceive that thing. If that makes sense. So I would say, take an area maybe where things aren't going as great as you want to, and then think about how you're perceiving that. So, for example, at one point when I was teaching public speaking, I would get people to think about what their metaphor was for public speaking, and a lot of them did not have good ones around it. Like, the images they had in their head, the way they perceived it, was very, very negative. Again, often going back to negative experiences from before, like maybe in school being embarrassed reading in class or giving a presentation which went left or whatever. So I got people to stop and look at that, and then think about creating one which was going to serve you more. Because oftentimes these metaphors have been created unconsciously. So, for example, when I first started in public speaking, I used to picture walking into the Colosseum, almost like a gladiator. Like, in my head, it was, I don't know why that image came to me, but I was kind of like, yeah, like, I'm out here. And it was like, I saw it like, are you not entertained? It was just epic. Yeah, literally, man. I was like, my name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies to the north, general of the Felix Legions. So it was very intense. So my speeches were really powerful, right? But it was quite heavy. Do you know what I mean? And then later on, I started to realize, oh, actually, this can be a space where you play. It can be a space where you have fun. People, you can make it a conversation. I started to look at speeches in that way sometimes, where, okay, there's a back and forth in this, where I'm engaging you, I'm getting you to be part of this experience. So my kind of concept of it expanded after that, and then it became a lot of different things for me, which is the same, I would say, with training. Training's a lot of things for me now. It's like, it's what wakes me up in the morning. It's my coffee. It's me time as well. My training. It's so many different things which serve me.
So hold on. Sorry, public speaking. You said. So you broke the nervousness by making your public speaking more of an interactive thing.
No, I'm saying that my concept of it expanded, because at first I found it really, really challenging. So I used to look at it almost like the way maybe a fighter's preparing for a fight, right? Like, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get ready, I'm gonna prepare everything, I'm gonna go in there, and I'm gonna, do you know what I mean? I'm gonna kill it. And so I had that sort of warrior kind of concept of it, which lended the way I delivered a certain energy. But then later on, my concept of it expanded as like just different parts of me were coming through. My sense of humor was coming through more, and I began to look at it more as a conversation, because ultimately you're getting energy from the audience and they're getting energy from you. And I think when you look at it more in that way as a thing we're kind of doing together, I found that a lot more helpful.
That's true. It is. When I talk, I don't talk at people. I talk to people. I talk with people.
Exactly.
Because everything I say and do, I'm not talking at you. I want to hear your point of view. I'd like to hear your point of view. I want to see where you're coming from, what you think about the topic before I go into what it is. And it's good because it's a back and forth, and you're more they're more engaged.
Yeah.
And once they're more engaged, you're good. You, the speaker, become less nervous.
That too.
Because it's a conversation with two people now. It's like, fine, we're just having a talk, we're just having a chat, we're just chilling. And that's what they remember more. People are comfortable. They may not remember the whole 10 hours of the lectures, but they remember the fact that, or the feeling you make them feel, how you make them feel. Was, I felt welcome. It's beautiful.
Yeah, when the first speech I gave at Toastmasters was around metaphor actually, and it was called "What's Your Metaphor?" And I started it by getting the audience to do a Mexican wave.
Icebreaker. Hey,
I was the icebreaker, and it worked. It was hilarious. They're like, whoa, and I did it. I got them to do back and forth a few times, and then I just went into how a Mexican wave is a metaphor, which I thought was a lot more powerful than me just talking about a metaphor, like getting them to have an actual experience of it. But yeah, I think looking at what your concepts of these things are, and then potentially looking at ways to make it more helpful, useful.
It's not bad though. It's not bad. I think regardless of everything, one of the things that determines you as a person, just generally as a person, wherever you are in life, whatever you do in life, one of the most important things you can ever do is to check your language with yourself. So, what that means is simple as this: how you speak to yourself, how you speak about yourself, how you speak about yourself turns into how you carry yourself. You cannot, it's not possible for you to have so much positive things about yourself and you start to slouch. Does that make sense? When you speak positively about yourself, when you have so much pride about yourself, when you have so much grace and or love about yourself, your internal speech to yourself comes out externally.
Yeah, 100%.
You are verbalizing and vocaling what you see about yourself internally. Your internal everything. So if you are constantly berating yourself externally, you are doing the same internally. It's not possible for you to be praising yourself internally and be talking smack about you externally. It's not gonna happen. It won't happen. That understanding is why many people, I keep myself my distance, because you do not and will not repeat things vocally that's not playing in your mind simultaneously or constantly. If you are always talking smack just about yourself, it's because you think smack about yourself. And once you think bad about yourself, there's no how, no way, Nelly, you're going to think good about the people around you. Because even if they're good people, you are only going to see them in your light. You're going to see them in your image. You're going to see them in the way your brain has wired for you to see yourself.
It's like a filter. Yeah.
It's a filter. It's a comparison. You're going to compare that to this. So no matter how good a person is, no matter how good you are as a person, if the person around you does not like themselves, nothing you can do would make them change that. Nothing you can do would make them see you as a good person. Nothing you can do. No matter how you want to, no matter how hard you white knight, nothing. It won't happen. It will never happen. Never. Nah. I can't emphasize the never because this same thing happens in pre-marital situations when a couple are dating and looking to get married eventually, and the word happy wife, happy life comes in. Like, nope, nope, let's not do that. But why? It makes sense to me because it's repeated language. You've heard it so many times. You're going to repeat it without understanding what it means. That's fine. I am mad at you. I'm here to break it down for you. Happy wife, happy life just basically means he should spend his whole life trying to make her happy. Even when she's not happy with herself, her accomplishments, her everything, he needs to spend his waking life trying to make her happy.
Yeah.
Which will never happen because it's going to make him a miserable mutete. Regardless of what happens. But yeah, if he loves her, no, act right. She has got to put in her 2 cents as well.
Yeah, and it's telling him to put her happiness ahead of his own. It's stupid.
Which is why I say it's not happy wife, it's happy spouse, happy house. What that means is you have got to sort yourself out before you sort others out. You've got to go and find that thing that is worrying you before you go and get married and put your burden on somebody else. You have to go and fight your demons. If you need therapy, go and get therapy. Both parties. If you have a lot of ex drama that's going on with you, sort that out before you see somebody else. Sort that out before you put that on somebody else. It's unfair to the whole planet. Because we all suffer it.
I think a big issue nowadays is people's relationship with themselves is not good.
Yes.
But then they're out there trying to have a good relationship with someone else.
No, they're not.
And they can't work out why it's not working.
No,
they're like, why am I not happy? Why is things not good? And it's like, well, you're not dealing with yourself, and you're trying to use something external to fix your unhappiness.
They're out there trying to find someone to put their burden on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, rather than face your own stuff, you're like, okay, I'm miserable, but if I just connect with this person, it will
if I just see this person will take all my stress off me. I don't care about him. Whatever he's going through doesn't matter. Just handle my problems. I go, no. So I tell people on both ends, do not deal with a selfish individual. Do not deal with a person who does not see you as you, which is someone who sees you as cool. Let me give an example.
ATM.
No, not ATM.
Therapist.
No, what's the word we use? He's a nice, good-looking black guy. Right? He's a nice, good-looking black guy who has got his head on his shoulders. Make sense? So you've been classified. Find someone who sees you as David. Simple. You're David. That's it. You as a person, that's the magic. Not the whole status quo, this, up, down, left, right. You are this person, that person. No, that's not what defines me. Before I became a successful person, I was this person. You understand? Before I became blah blah blah, I was this. This person made me this. This is who you want to get to know. Because I see that a lot with interracial dating as well, where you get people go, I want to date blah 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 race person. Da, 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 da. You're
Like they're not humanized. You're saying they're not really humanized.
You're not being humanized.
Okay.
You are dating that race because that's what you see that race.
Interesting.
You don't see that person as they are. You're gonna go, oh cool, I want to date a Spanish chick.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You
It's
see my point?
Kind of fetishization.
Fetishization
kind of thing,
about the
right?
whole thing. Oh yeah, she's a Spanish chick. Okay, what's her life like? I don't know. She's just Spanish, innit?
Yeah. I get you.
That you have dehumanized the person because you want to fetishize them, and then you wonder why things don't work out. Oh, it's because of different race. No, bro, it's because one person didn't get to know who other person was. So beneath all of that, this is a human being that's had the ups and downs, lefts and rights, and heart and everything.
I think the tech thing just adds to that as well, though, because
the tech thing.
Yeah, well, just the technology nowadays, because you can connect with someone in that remote way much more than in person for most people. It can just add to this disconnect from who the person really is. You know, because you're seeing their pictures, you're seeing their text messages, hearing their voice, maybe, right? But you're not in their presence, in their energy, in their company as much as we would have been once upon a time. It's very different. I was listening to a podcast a friend of mine started recently, and she's an older lady, and she was talking about relationships. And one of the things her and her friend, who were both around 60, were talking about was that people don't dance now. And they were saying, when we were young, you went out and you danced all night. And I remember that. I can remember times when I would just be dancing for hours. I'd be with one girl, and we would just she'd just be in my neck, and I'd just be there up against one wall or whatever. You know what it was. I'd be taking the paint off the wall, man, for hours. And it's so different now. Now you go out and people are standing around looking at their phones, taking selfies. The interaction is not what it used to be. The depth of it, it's not. I don't know. It was very different now.
That's funny. That's actually funny. Yeah, I remember a lot of dancing. I don't go out these days, so I don't know what happens these days. I don't go clubbing. I don't go partying. I don't know what happens these days. So
I work in this environment sometimes. I don't go out much now.
People don't dance.
Not really. I remember, for example, at the members club, there was one event we had. It was a birthday party, and I think they hired the place from 8 until 1. And it was these two twins, a black girl and her brother, and they showed up early to set everything up, right?
Naturally.
But when I was okay, so it's black people and it's 8 until 1, I thought this doesn't really make sense because everyone's gonna come late, right? And so the first wave of people came, and they were just all sitting down around the sort of outside of the dance floor, and everyone was on their phone. And they were all sitting in their groups. It was weird. And the girls were together and all the guys were together, and I was like, this is like school, like a school dance. This is weird. And they weren't that young, they were in their 20s. And this continued for some time, and it was only after a certain amount of alcohol had been consumed and there was enough people where you wouldn't be as visible if you were in the middle more, that people started to connect more and communicate a bit more. There was people smoking weed on the balcony.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, just embarrassing. Literally at the end I was like, you lot are embarrassing. I'm really disappointed.
That makes sense to me now though, because when I just start dancing for no reason, everyone looks at me like, he must be crazy. It's not normal. You can't just be dancing like that. You need to be drunk to dance. You need to. How dare you have self-confidence? Why do you have so much self-confidence? Why are you in charge of your life? No, you must, fam. I'm gonna dance my ass off and dance. If I like the beat, I'm dancing. Don't jealous me. I'm gonna move. Yeah, it's good.
It was only after many rums, such that people started to move a little bit.
I set barriers and boundaries with everybody. The phone thing. The only time you see me on my phone, you know it's an emergency. You would know, because I'll tell you that, listen, this is an emergency.
That's kind of hilarious because, the only time I've seen you on the phone is if there's some important shit.
But I will tell you, it's like, okay, this is happening, 1, 2, 3, because it's rude to do that. I respect my time. You respect your time. Nobody is going to respect your time if you don't respect your time. And that's the reality. We respect our time. So my thing with everybody is like, again, respect them. I would give you a certain amount of respect to initially not tell you that if I'm around you, clearly I have a busy schedule, but I've put my phone away for you. Would you kindly put your phone away? That's non-verbal. If you've known me for a minute, you know I'm a busy person. But if I'm not on my phone, it's like, okay, you have my full attention. So would you kindly reciprocate? But then when that's not happening, I'd just go, okay, here's what it is. Put your phone away, please. Okay, please put your phone away. When the question comes, but why? I say, here's what it is. I explain why. When I explain why to you once, I would not need to explain it to you again. Because, again, it's non-verbal. You've got a phone, I've got a phone. It's a reality that we're not going to connect if you're on the phone. If I have 2 hours with you, that 2 hours is we time. Yeah. This goes full circle. Always.
Something I want to share actually with our viewers.
Ooh.
So I got this Bluetooth keyboard. It's my phone in here.
It's not paid sponsor, by the way.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not mentioning any brand names. I found that super useful because ultimately, when we're changing, you can change your habits, you can change your environment. Outside of that, it's quite challenging to change, and that's something I've read recently, and I really have found to be true. Tiny Habits, BJ Fogg, great book. But see, with this, it's changing the environment and the habit, because ultimately, if your phone, and I share this because I know people that have issues with spending too much time on a phone, and it's definitely something I've struggled with, particularly when I started to make content, because I started building the habit of like constantly putting stuff on, checking response messages. With this, I find once it's in that frame and it's on the keyboard,
yes,
I start looking at it as this is time to type, this is time for me to work. So when I open that thing, I'm in writer mode.
Yes.
I'm not in, let me just randomly check my phone unconsciously because it's in my pocket.
Right.
I'm taking it out for a purpose, I'm opening it to do something. And I don't really mess around with it like that when it's in that frame. I might check some messages, but it's just quick and that's it. And so it's such a simple thing, but just changing the environment, changing the frame, changing the metaphor, changes how I use it. And I'm gonna just leave it in there, I think, from now on, and take it out when I need to use it, because just having it on your person, I realize more and more you don't need it.
No, you don't.
Like, what is it in your pocket for? What emergency is happening that you need to have it there? Like when I first, before I got a mobile phone, I didn't want one because I enjoyed the freedom of not being connected. I enjoyed just going off the grid, and then my family were like, "Oh no, you need one. What if there's an emergency?" in how many decades I've had a phone, there's never been an emergency. I've never had an emergency call. It's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I could reach you. Never happened.
That's dope.
And honestly, in a lot of ways, I wish I didn't have one at all. But
fair enough.
there are certain things it's useful for. What's going on, bro? Is it?
It's emotion.
I see you reaching up there.
We're cutting off.
Okay.
Yes. Well, on that note, it's been Kevlar Kess. It's been Dr. Love. We thank you all for today. What has been emotional. Peace.
Deuces.